Hey, what's up, everyone? So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize right off the bat for the fan shadow that's above my head here on the video. But I live in Florida. It's the fan's not being turned off. It's always on. So I just want to come on and say sorry there wasn't an episode yesterday. It's Thanksgiving. I kind of tuned out and wanted to reflect on the year. That's something that we always do. We always take tidings of our blessings during Thanksgiving. But that's kind of a weird thing to do in 2020. Like looking back on the year, like so many of the major events during the year, and so many of the on a personal and on a national scale have just been so tragic. I mean, we're still deeply embedded in a pandemic. People are dying. People are arguing. We have a president that says that everyone's cheating him, and then the one that won is a demented child sniffer. Like it's kind of a mess. It's kind of gross out there. So it can be very very difficult to look back on that and say you're thankful for any of it. But we're still here. I mean, there's something to be said about still being standing through all of this controversy and struggle and divisiveness and just turmoil. I think that looking back on this year, a lot of us are going to see that we've grown a lot more than we thought we would. We've been faced with challenges that we never thought we'd experience. I mean, we probably should have seen the pandemic thing coming, but either way, it's not something that we expected for the most part, and it's it's weird. Like I was looking back and thinking, like, what am I thankful for? And like looking back at my 2020, while the events surrounding me and some events that have affected me directly have been pretty rough, my 2019 was a lot tougher for me. But I've also seen that I've had so much perspective on how much I've grown. I realize every time I face a challenge and I either push through it or achieve over it, whatever kind of resolution I find, I'm always a little bit stronger after that. And I think me facing 2020, having 2019, having been my worst year, and having gotten through it, going through 2020, I had the kind of perspective where it's like, okay, it's rough, but we made it through last year. We can make it through this year. I think for a lot of people, 2020 is going to be their version of my 2019. So as we face a lot of unknown moving forward into 2021, I think that the fact we've made it this far means we're probably going to push through that year too. Obviously there's things that need to still be addressed and we need to keep fighting that good fight that we're fighting, but we're on the right path. We're making it through. We're making progress. And I think that during this holiday season, something that we should get back to is really recognizing people for the entirety of what they are, not just categorizing people and doing that toxic tribalism BS that we've been doing for so long. It's mostly based around politics, but anything these days has become polarizing and political in some aspect. So I think it's important to look at people and through the holidays and think that it's more a time of we can celebrate shared things. Even though we're probably going to celebrate, or we're definitely going to celebrate different holidays and different religions, pray to different gods or to no gods at all. Either way, we're sharing some kind of common values with our fellow human there, and it's usually a theme of uh, togetherness, warmth, and wanting everyone to share prosperity. And I really think that if we can take off the red and blue blinders and get past some of the religious stuff, we can really see that after I want to finish 2020 strong, is what I'm trying to say. I think it would be such an amazing, beautiful thing for us to get through all of this and at the end of this terrible, awful year, have a very unified or at least shared enjoyment of the holiday season. I mean, it's still really, really tough in a lot of places where you really can't even share some things. With the Thanksgiving lockdowns again in so many different states, it's definitely tough. But I technology is definitely a blessing and a curse when it comes to people being locked up and scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. I might just did like a 4 hour conversation about the dangers of social media, but there's also it's like a tool like anything else. It can be used or it can be misused. And one way that I've intentionally began using social media is to reach out to people across the world who may be more isolated across the world, like I'm some jet setter. No, I got a couple of friends internationally, but mostly they're friends who are other places in the States. Um, I hate just talking to myself. I feel very, very awkward and uncomfortable right now. So if it doesn't come off as uncomfortable, then I'm a better actor than I gave myself credit for, because I am extremely uncomfortable right now as I sip from my tumbler. Um, I've used like Zoom and social media to connect with people all over the place. And somehow, like over the course of a couple months, some of these people I've met through just Zoom chats and different social network groups across the nation become some of my closest friends. And I think that's a way that even if we are stuck in lockdowns, even if we are afraid of getting people sick for good reason, and we have to isolate, there's still ways we can work around it. There's still ways we can get that human interaction. And of course, there's no real substitute for in person human interaction, but it's the next best thing. And I think it's something that we can do to really help out a lot too. So I know holidays are tough for a lot of people. I spent a lot of my time when I was working. I work a lot of holidays because it was usually better money because you get the holiday pay, and or my shifts just happen to fall on that cycle. Typically every year you either work Thanksgiving or Christmas depending on which shift you're on. But a lot of times I'd pick up overtime and just work them anyway because like I realized for a long time that the day itself isn't what's important. Like what date you celebrate on, it's who you celebrate with. And that can be any time. Just because you're working on Thanksgiving doesn't mean you can't have a meaningful and great Thanksgiving the next day or the day after or the next week. It doesn't matter the calendar date at all. So I want those of you who aren't able to see your family this year for whatever reason to try to have some of that perspective. I know society, especially around the holidays, has a lot of weird stigmas and terrible taboos that we kind of enforce. Everyone wants this like hallmark, picturesque holiday season, but like that's picturesque, but it never friggin' happens. Like I've been to a lot of families' Thanksgivings, and they're never like the Hallmark versions. And thank God, that'd be so boring. Like I like all the fascinating traditions people have and different foods they'll prepare. That's probably the best part. It's all the different food I get exposed to if I go to someone else's Thanksgiving. But see, even then, like I'm reverting right back to talking about times I've been with people in other places. So it's such a unique challenge that we're facing with not being able to see people during a time where you're supposed to be seeing people. Like I think it was Governor Newsom in California. I think he said something. It's either him or Cuomo, but something to the effect of, "If you love your family, you won't see them," and that seems so counterintuitive. Well, first off, who gave you the right to say what I can and can't do, who I can and can't see? That's a whole nother freedom liberty debate right there. It's not a debate. That's straight up authoritarianism. Anyway, but regardless of the justness or injustice of the rules that we're being asked to follow now, I mean there is a risk of people getting sick, so the isolation is absolutely warranted in a lot of cases. You just got to be free to make those choices yourself. But I've talked about that in other episodes. I guess the point I'm trying to say is this is a time when it's very, very easy to start feeling isolated, especially this year when even if you're not isolated with family, you are at the same time. So I'm not going to say that cliche thing that was like, reach out to me if you want to talk. Because like, if you feel isolated, you don't want to talk. You feel like you're a burden on everybody else. And you just want to slip into your nothing corner where no one can bug you and you can't disappoint anyone. So I'm going to encourage instead, do buddy checks. Hit up your friends. Say like, hey, how's your holiday been? How's your day going? Buddy check, what's going on? Talk to me. Plus, when you use the words buddy check, that's a way of saying, hey, I'm not just here for small talk. Let me know how you're doing, really. And that's what the holidays are supposed to really be about, like genuine human connection. And it's always been over shared traditions in different religious groups or non-religious groups, but I think there's something that we can share that goes way beyond any traditions or any religious practice, and that's the human experience. We are all going through our own struggles, but they put us in a lot of the same mental states. And even though you've dug your hole with different tools during different circumstances than I dug mine in, I've gotten out of mine. I've had friends jump in with me to help me get out, and I'll do the same for you. So it's not a passive thing. You don't just say, "Oh, I'm here, hit me up," because if you've already been in that hole, you know you're not going to hit anybody up. You probably wouldn't do it. I have to force myself to reach out when I'm not feeling well, and I'm glad I do. The effects are profound. So be that gateway for someone else, though. Be the proof that they're not a burden on someone. Reach out and say, "Hey, hope your holidays are going well. Buddy check. What's going on?" And I guarantee you, when they're taking stock of things they're thankful for, the buddy check will be one of them. So it's not a long episode today. I just wanted to reach out and say, hey, I've had a long, productive, and great couple of weeks, but I'm tired. I'm going to recharge and put what I preach into practice. So everyone have a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you have lots of good food, lots of good memories, and lots of good human, genuine connection. Love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.